Hey, man. I'm sorry, Vortex, you could be a woman. And I don't want to misgender the Vortex, because there's nothing worse than that. Like, literally nothing. Nothing in the world is worse than misgendering something or someone. So, I have happy news. The friend of mine, my more liberal friend, we got into a little tiff the other night over the presidential debate, and I apologized to her, but we didn't talk for like 2 days, which is like a month in restaurant time, in case you haven't worked at a restaurant. Because it's always awkward, like if there's somebody that you're working with, like you're not talking to for whatever reason. But yeah, I prayed for her, and she and I talked it out today, and she told me that last night she deleted her Facebook account. And I told her multiple times, I was like, I am so proud of you. Like, legit. I wasn't being condescending at all, because, like, I know that she does have self-awareness. I really think that anybody's ability to think cognitively, one second. Anybody's ability to think cognitively and accurately discern one thing from another, I think that those abilities are being struck down via social networking. And I tried to warn people a long time ago about this, and that it would just make everybody stupid and everybody crazy and everybody narcissistic and vain and shallow and all that. But, you know, people aren't going to believe it until they see it for themselves. And she said that she was just getting into way too many fights with people online. And I'm so proud of her. You guys have no idea. We actually agree on way more than we disagree on. Even in regards to Trump, it's like, the only way that people can't have conversations is if their emotions get in the way. And that's the thing with the news media. Like, the news media is literally designed to fuck with everybody's emotions. And then you have, like, social networks that are literally designed to screw up your brain chemistry to the point that you rely on the release of dopamine that you get from comments, likes, pictures. I mean, I'm sure a lot of things trigger that, not just a like. But I don't know, man. I was totally right, though. I triggered her because I called her a liar. She was like, you know how to get to me, Amy. But she knows how to get to me, too. The thing is, it's really not worth it. It's not worth... I mean, politics, especially because, like, if people kept talking, if they kept the conversation going, they'd realize that we agree on more than we disagree on. It's like my friend that I do comedy with that, you know, is really, really politically correct. It's totally because of Marxism. It's not because he has bad intentions, you know. I really think that he has a good heart. The problem is there are way too many people that are Marxists that don't have a good heart. I do love talking about these things, though. I genuinely love talking about religion and politics just because I find the subjects very interesting. And it always teaches me something. It teaches me how passionate I am about my belief system. It teaches me why I don't want to believe in anything else. And it teaches me how to be patient with other people. You know, because there was a part of me that was thinking like, oh man, what if I just like ruin this friendship because I said something that I probably shouldn't have said, you know? I mean, I think that lying has become so second nature for people that it's really hard to spot when we do it. I mean, I always know when I do it, but that's just because of my boatloads of self-awareness that I wish I could donate. But my friend is really emotional, though. And what did I just say about emotions? It keeps you from being able to think cognitively, like you're not as capable of being able to tell right from wrong, or notice that you're being gaslighted, which is exactly, like I said, that's what the media is for. That's what modern science is for. They just want everybody to be so empty inside that they have no choice but to buy whatever these pieces of shit sell them in order to try to fill that hole. And if only we could make them realize that it's a God-shaped hole and only God can fill that hole, you know? That's why. That's precisely why nothing will ever work. Because if you're using all these other things to fill a God-shaped hole, nothing's going to fill that but God. So you're going to keep gambling, or you're going to keep texting somebody that you really want to pay attention to you, or you're going to keep taking selfies, or you're going to keep yelling at strangers online. So gratifying. You're going to keep drinking and doing drugs. You're going to keep buying shit. You're going to keep stealing shit. I had an addiction to stealing, by the way. Total addiction. Dopamine. Yeah, definitely. Dopamine is the reward center. It's really weird with schizos because we just don't experience it the same way. That's why we get addicted to cigarettes. That's why we get addicted to weed. I think we get addicted to weed just because we like smoking things. Speaking of who was smoking things last night, right after I made this fucking video, I knew that shit was gonna happen too. Because if I talk about something, it's like humility. Like, if you talk about something, like an emotion that allows you to feel other people's pain or understand things to a greater extent than you ever thought was remotely possible, like, once you acknowledge that in yourself, it's gone, you know? But it's the coolest thing ever, like, when you realize that. You're like, holy shit, I'm humble. You know, well, not anymore. You know, I'm glad that was something that I experienced for the brief moment that I experienced it. But, yeah, I think that humility, empathy, compassion even, like, these aren't fun emotions. These aren't fun emotions at all. So if you brag about them, there's no way that you're experiencing those emotions. There's no way that you even know what those emotions mean. You know? My God, I'm so humble, you know? Here's my sash of humility. Let me wear it around and brag about how much I care about things. I realize that I do that, by the way, Vortex. I totally realize that I do that. I just really want people to know about these news stories. Like, I read a news story last night that made me sick. I was crying about it last night. I was crying about it earlier today. This little girl got her throat slit by her mother. Her sister watched her mother kill her through the peephole. She watched this shit. I can't even fathom, like, just the bigger picture of that level of trauma. And I never feel for the victims that people tell me to feel for, you know, like with the media. If the media is talking about something, mainstream media, mind you, if the mainstream media is talking about something, that means that the chances of that person being a real person and that story being a real story are slim to none. There might be a few details of that story that are true, but for the most part, everything is so convoluted and it's almost impossible to get the truth, you know? In order to get the truth, you have to dig and dig and dig, and you have to look at all these different angles of scenarios, situations, in order to fully grasp what actually happened. And even then, you probably aren't going to know the whole story, you know? And the truth is something for God. And that comforts me. It always comforts me when we talk about God, because it reminds me that I don't have to know everything. It reminds me that I don't have to know what the future is. All I have to do is trust God. That is the only job for me to do. Trust God and do whatever I can in the moment of what I need to do. Be mindful of the future. You know, is this going to negatively impact my future? Yes. Well, then I probably shouldn't do it. No. Well, then it probably isn't the totally wrong thing for me to do. If I'm questioning whether something is the wrong thing for me to do, you know, I should pray about it. But yeah, I think that people don't know how to trust God. They don't know how to have faith in something that isn't tangible. And so they trust all these things that are tangible and are completely screwing them over in ways that they'll never be able to comprehend because they're so brainwashed. And don't try to tell them that, or they'll get really upset with you. And they'll say that you just don't understand. You're right, honey. I don't understand why you choose that life. I don't understand why anybody does. But who am I? Like I said, I'm just some dumb white bitch who lives in the suburbs. We don't know shit about how the world works, even though we worked in restaurants for 15 years. I think that liberals should always work at a restaurant. That's why I told my friend, the one that, I think that she's more on the right. But because of political correctness, she thinks she's on the left. It was the same way with me as well. But she even told me when we were arguing the other day, she even said, well, Trump is better than Biden. Fucking duh. Let me tell you something. Anybody is better than the Democrat Party. I don't care. Now, I'm not one to say that the Republicans are like white as snow. Well, a lot of the time they are, right? But the reason why Republicans get this reputation for being racist isn't just because of the Southern strategy. It's because of the fact that Republicans really are afraid of black people. The only blacks that Republicans are cool with are blacks that act white, blacks that assimilate to the white culture or whatever the fuck this is. Now, I'm not saying this to try to dog white people. I'm not one of those pieces of shit, okay? Because you really can't say anything without people getting offended. And it's so stupid. It's like, can we just not state how we feel without everybody feeling the need to, like, make it about them and take it personally all because they can? Like, I don't know why anybody would dog white people when they're white. Just like, why are black people dogging black people? That doesn't make sense. You gotta build yourself up. You gotta build up your people. You can't just knock people down, you know? There's a way to acknowledge certain things, specifically about the African American community. There's a way to acknowledge those things without vilifying the African American community. There's a way to do that. I promise. You don't have to be Candace Owens. You don't have to do that shit. But anyway, I'm pretty passionate about things that I believe. But that doesn't mean that I can't listen to people that don't believe those things. Like I said, it's always good for me to have those conversations. It's so very important that we listen to people that we don't agree with. That is one of the most important things that anybody can do. Because there's no way that you really believe what you believe unless you can defend it, first of all. But there's no way that you believe what you believe unless you've heard the other side. And you've heard multiple angles of the other side, not just the angle that you want to focus on because it makes your angle look better. That's why the left and the right are both wrong. Now, I'm definitely on the right, but when are people going to realize that the left controls everything? They really do, and the right just sucks the dick of the left. Like, that's all they do. Donald Trump's doing that shit right now. It's fucking annoying. Dude, there's I don't know if I told you all this. There's this place right up the street from my house that does like events at this little venue. They got Trump flags all over this motherfucker. And when I first saw this venue, you know, I thought to myself, maybe they want to do comedy there. Apparently it costs like $500 to book an event. But if you're non-profit, they'll work with you. No, I'm definitely non-profit. I just want people to enjoy comedy again. The thing is, I'm very dark, and I'm very cynical, and I'm very, you know, assassination nation. Like, I just want to shit all over this culture. And I think that, you know, true comedy is offensive because you have to cross lines and you have to push it. That's the whole point. But I just wonder if, you know, certain things that I say, I wonder if, like, they'd be cool with that. 'Cause, like, you just never know. You never know these days with, like, what people are going to get upset about and, like, ban you or kick you out or whatever the fuck. It's just not worth it. Especially if I'm going to be paying money to do it. But I'm willing to do that. Like, I'm willing to pay a large sum of money in order to get out what I'm trying to say and help other people. Because I have a feeling that if it takes off, it'll really take off. And people will want what I have. People will want to come back. But I got to work on a lot of sets to do this shit. I keep telling myself that, you know, I got a lot of shit to do. Yes, if only you were motivated. I mean, I am motivated. It's just very short-lived motivation. Very short-lived motivation. It's not just that. It's like my ADD or whatever the fuck they say it is. I can't stay focused. That's so annoying. But I do think that is beneficial somewhat because people are, you know, focusing on only one angle of things. So the fact that I can see it from all these different angles, I think is a positive. It's just annoying when it comes to, like, trying to write a set because I can't make my mind up on anything that I want to do. It feels so good outside. The autumn is here. I'm probably gonna walk to the gas station and pick up a cigarillo. Well, when it's like this outside, I tell myself, no, you gotta walk to the gas station to get what you want. You are not driving there when it is a 10-minute walk. That's ridiculous. And I never regret taking a walk. Like, ever. Got my squeegee applesauce again. I know that you guys were waiting for it. Well, here it is. But, yeah, so I wanted to tell you guys the good news. It's not just that my friend and I are not fighting anymore over stupid-ass politics and our orange president. It's just, I think the best news of all of this is yet another person, one more human being is off Facebook. That is exciting. And I have another friend of mine that I do comedy with. I'm pretty sure that she's going to be marrying this guy pretty soon, and I'm excited about that. It's another wedding that I can cry the whole time while attending. A lot of people have asked me, like, why I'm not interested in dating or, like, anything like that. Because I have a man in my head. I have a man in my head. And because I have a man in my head, he pushes away all the other men because they're just not masculine enough. And they're too needy for me. I need a guy that will leave me alone the majority of the month. But unfortunately, they're also codependent. And we don't have time for that. We were born on the day of the lone wolf. We do not have time. We have too much shit to do to worry about somebody following us around like a little puppy dog, okay? There's a reason we don't have a dog. And it's not because we don't like dogs. We love dogs. It's just we have cats because cats are more conducive to our personality. And even they get annoying. Even they will follow me around and meow and demand more food. And I'm just saying, everybody needs to rely on God. And if they rely on God,
then they'll learn how to rely on themselves, and they won't need anybody else to validate them. They won't need anybody else to pay attention to them, and they'll stop looking at pornography. Nothing makes me sicker than pornography. Like, I can't believe, like, God aside, I can't believe that people think it's acceptable to watch pornography. Like, I'm not saying I haven't dabbled in it from time to time, but I always regret it. I always regret looking at pornography. There has never been a single time that I've ever looked at pornography where I was like, I'm glad I made that decision, you know? And it's just unbelievable to me how many people just accept this as a part of society. They accept the fact that they're essentially a drug addict about every single thing that they do. God, I shouldn't have started talking about pornography because now I'm like going to go on a fucking rant. But I don't understand society's obsession with sex anyway. It doesn't mean anything. Like, I'll be honest, like, I used to have like issues with compulsive masturbation. And not because I really wanted to masturbate, but it was just like, I don't know. I feel like I was just bored. And I've done a lot of jokes about it. And of course, those jokes always fly because, you know, I do jokes with a bunch of hedonistic losers. No, I would say that, like, if you are into sex and drugs and alcohol and just all this stuff is, like, so bad for you. It's bad for your brain chemistry. It's bad for your psyche. Look, look, look. There she is. There she is. She's a pussy that I regularly grab. I grab that pussy on the daily. You see, I'm dirty. I say things like that, and people always get the wrong impression, and they always think that I'm into something really grotesque, like, oh, like I want that kind of attention. I don't want that kind of attention, actually. I just talk shit. I talk a bunch of shit. That's like all I do because I work at a restaurant. Worked in restaurants for a long time. That's what we do to get through it, okay? We talk a bunch of shit, and any woman that you meet in a restaurant is dirty as fuck, okay? It's got nothing to do with sex. But because the culture is so obsessed with sex, they make everything about sex. They have to objectify you. I'm sure every single time that I do a video and I'm wearing a tank top and you can see my titties, like, there are dudes that watch this video and they're just thinking all kinds of disgusting things about me. Fuck you. You know, that's how I feel. And honestly, that's not a feminist rant. It shouldn't be a feminist rant. That should have nothing to do with feminism or gender or anything. That should have everything to do with objectification. And why would you want... I mean, I don't understand why anybody wants that kind of attention. Because it's not positive attention. Don't you want somebody to, like, actually love you and actually appreciate you? I mean, honestly, I don't even want that shit, you know? Because I love myself and I appreciate myself and I don't need that validation from anybody. I get it from God. I get it from Jesus. I'm a eunuch. Look that shit up. We are eunuchs because of the world. The world has turned us into eunuchs. It's essentially a castrated male. Now, I'm assuming that Jesus was probably talking about men, but he could be referring to women as well. Like, somebody asked me a while ago, like, what I did about my libido. I killed it. I killed it on purpose. And for those of you that think that's depressing, what you do is depressing. What you do, pornography is depressing. Masturbating is depressing. Having sex with people that you don't know is depressing. Having sex with somebody that you don't even love, or somebody that you don't actually care about, or somebody that maybe you did love and did care about at some point, but it's no longer good. That's fucking depressing. So fuck you. You always go in this rant. Dude, I just hate it. There's nothing that I find more repulsive than somebody being sexually attracted to me. I guess I really am all the way in cluster A. I'll see y'all.